guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to be covering part 2 of the story I did earlier, all about the guy who was all set to propose to his girlfriend because he believed that she was the one, amazing, traditional, conservative, pure, saving herself for marriage. And lo and behold, after meeting her, one of his buddies said he recognized her from his past. And it turns out that this girl, as being described, was definitely quite a different person back in college. A gal who was quite popular with the frat guys and engaging in many activities, which you're about to find out. And where we left off, the guy's he had pictures sent to him when one of the old frat guys was confirming this, and we're going to see what he finds out and how he handles this whole thing. And let me tell you, as I said at the end of the other video, you will most certainly get your money's worth with part 2 of this story. So it continues on. He says here, I let out a deep breath and opened the text. There were 4 pictures. The same woman was featured in all of them. The first was 3 women with soaked t-shirts, nipples clearly visible through the wet fabric. The second was the same 3 women, probably taken seconds later, shirts lifted, boobs exposed. The third picture was of 2 women making out, and the final was a side view of a woman's head with a you-know-what in her mouth. Holy crap. This is the pure Jessica. The woman in every picture looked exactly like Jessica. The smoking gun was the mole patterns on her neck and face. So remember at the end of the video, the guy said back then her hair was a little shorter, and I think she had streaks in her hair or something like that, and those streaks were probably something else, and it wasn't hair dye. I really liked Jessica's neck, and she liked it when I'd kiss it. So I was very familiar with the series of moles that dotted her neck and lower jaw. She did look different with heavy makeup, but she didn't cover the moles, and there was no getting past those. I let out a giant sigh and slumped in my chair. I'd be doing a lot more than that. I probably would barf. I thanked Steve. Drew also thanked Steve, and I told him I'll call him later. Before hanging up, Steve said, I'm so sorry, man. I told him not to worry about it and thanked him again. And now he has to go to work. Drew went on to talk about Jessica. His frat brothers had nicknamed Jessica Wild Cherry because she was down for anything except vaginal intercourse. She still had her cherry intact. When asked, Drew told me that he never saw her naked or engaged in anything with her. He just knew several of his brothers had. Okay, that makes it a little bit better, and I think this guy would probably be honest with him and tell him if he did, but good. In fact, because he met Jessica in the previous story, so obviously, Then again, she probably wouldn't remember him if she had his you-know-what in her mouth because there were so many. I don't know. Drew knows my views on sex and marriage. We talked about it some while back. He apologized and said he figured I was unaware of her past, which I was. I asked him, how many guys do you think she's been with? He said he knew of at least a dozen guys that she had performed oral sex with. But that was just the guys in the frat. He knew she visited other house parties as well. He said he hated to add this, but he also knew that she had 69 another girl on a drunken dare. Hey, do you got pictures of that? Something in my brain broke upon hearing this, and I just sat there even more dumbfounded. I wanted to cry, but I held it in. I looked at Drew and thanked him for telling me. I told him that he saved me because by the end of the month, I was planning to propose to her. Thank God you took your time. And you're a religious fellow. I gotta wonder if the Lord sent you my video to hear these things, get in your head, and maybe you should do some investigating and, imagine you proposed to her, imagine you married her and found this out. I got nothing done at work that day. Yeah, I can imagine. For some reason, I couldn't concentrate on anything. I sent Jessica a text telling her I wanted to drop by and talk to her when she got off work. When a guy says that to a woman, we need to talk or something like that, immediately, She told me she was going home to change and then immediately leaving to meet with a couple of women from church to help plan a baby shower. I told her it was important and really wanted to see her. She reluctantly agreed, but told me whatever it was, it needed to be quick. I told her I'd be waiting when she got home. I'm kind of surprised she didn't go into panic mode. Well, that's how confident she was that her whole past and her cover was good. Jessica beat me to her place. I hate city traffic. She was walking up the stairs to her apartment as I was parking. I climbed the stairs and knocked on the door. Jessica greeted me with a warm smile and puckered up to give me a kiss. Keep your mouth away from me, woman. Here's a bottle of fucking, not NyQuil, I can't think of the fucking word. Mouthwash. I know the brand. Listerine. Here's a bottle of Listerine. You go gargle that in the bathroom for about 2 hours, then maybe we can be a little close to each other. All I could imagine was a tongue licking the rim of a truck stop toilet bowl. I brushed her off and shook my head. She had a look of hurt and confusion on her face. Oh, she's about to have a whole lot of confusion on her face. She asked me what was the matter. I just looked at her and asked who Wild Cherry was. There was a flash of panic on her face. Her eyes told me she knew she was caught. Then she did the best thing she could do to help the situation. She fessed up and told me 100% truth. He says, haha, of course she denied it and lied. She asked me, what was I talking about? What was I talking about? How about the fact that your face just froze and you turned white as Casper the Friendly Ghost? What do you mean, what was I talking about? I told her I'd heard all about her escapades at the university. She denied knowing what I was talking about. I said, oh, you know, getting drunk at frat parties, wet t-shirt contests, kissing women, and giving BJs. She was now getting mad. Why would I accuse her of these things? She told me, I know she doesn't drink, and she was saving herself for marriage. Define saving yourself. She wanted to know who was putting these ideas in my head. We went back and forth, and finally I pulled out my phone. I showed her the first picture, and she said, recognize the girl in the center? I did this with each picture. So, what did she do when confronted with the hard facts? Okay, guys, place your bets. How's she going to react here? Maybe some things from the Hobag handbook, I don't know. She deflected, of course. She said those pictures weren't her and demanded to know how I and why I had PORN on my phone. She was trying to flip the script and make me to be the bad guy. I told her she clearly isn't who I thought she was. I added, I thought I was with a wholesome woman, but you're actually a cheap WHORE. Surprisingly, up to this point, I hadn't yelled at her once. However, the nervousness and adrenaline in my system made my voice shaky. Bro, nobody can blame you. That comment hurt her, and now she tried to defend herself, and in the process, she slipped up and admitted the pictures were of her. Oh, because a moment ago you said it wasn't her, and all this other crap that you were accusing me of. She was yelling at me, and she says, listen to this, that was back in college, and it meant nothing. I've been saving myself, and I'm planning on only having sex with a man I marry. Saving yourself? Being the BJ queen of the fraternity house, and I'm sure many others I might add, isn't exactly saving yourself. I told her, you've sucked 50 you-know-whats, and you haven't saved yourself for anyone. You've just proven yourself to be a COCK sucker. Now she started to cry. Hobag Handbook Chapter 2. She was hurt and was angry, and there was now rage in her eyes. This whole 50 dudes thing, immediately I'm sure many of you guys are thinking the scene in Clerks with Dante. Is it Veronica was his girlfriend? And she admitted to having serviced 36 you-know-whats. And that famous scene when she storms out of there and she's mad at him. And he's like, trying to suck any you-know-what in your way through the parking lot. Now she has rage in her eyes. Other words were said. She called me an a-hole, which was the first time I ever heard her swear. Finally, unable to gain control of the situation, she yelled at me to get out. I started to say something, and she yelled at me again to get out and shoved at my chest. I stumbled back, but caught my balance. I told her I was leaving, and I never wanted to see her again because she disgusted me. Let me make this clear. He said, I'm leaving, I never want to see you again, you disgust me. In other words, to me that sounds like a breakup. This time she screamed at me to get out. You're yelling at me? You've been lying to me all this time for 2 years about your past. This isn't saving yourself, sweetheart. And I'm the bad guy here because I didn't want to see this information here. This was sent to me and it's you. And you're admitting it was you. And I'm the bad guy here, really? I was half crying, half shrieking when it came out. It sounded like what I imagined a screeching demon being exorcised would sound like. I turned to leave, and as I walked out the door, she screamed again for me to get out and shoved me again. Man, she's a temper on that one. This time, I stumbled forward and caught hold of the door frame to steady myself. She was crying so hard, she was wailing. Oh, for God's sake. She brought this all on herself. 100%. How is this guy the bad guy here? Right? As I went down the stairs to my car, she stepped out the door and screamed that she hated me and never wanted to see me again. Okay, no problem. Again, clearly they're broken up. I didn't respond and just went to my car and left. The whole time, I never yelled at her. Bro, holy shit. I am so sorry. I really am. I mean, guys, 2 years is no small amount of time. And he bought, I can't remember if he bought the ring or was thinking about buying the ring, but he was certainly working on the proposal thing. Oh, his mom's in for a treat, huh? The whole exchange lasted less than 5 minutes, but it left me exhausted. I went home and cried. I sent Drew a text telling him I broke it off with Jessica. He replied how sorry he was, but assured me it would be the best in the end, and I told him I agreed. It is the best in the end, dude, because what if you married her? What if you married her and found this out? Because these things will get out eventually. I mean, it got out already, you know? Now listen to this. Jessica called me several times that evening. So much for I never want to see you again. I didn't answer any of her phone calls. Good. My phone was on the coffee table in the living room, and I had collapsed to my bed. I heard the phone ring, but wasn't about to answer it. When I got up the next morning, there was one text from her, and it simply said, "Will you please call me?" How was I unclear about the whole thing that we're done? I stared at her for a moment and said out loud, "Nope." I called into work and told them I wouldn't be in. Was feeling under the weather. That's an understatement. I tossed the phone back on the coffee table and went back to bed. I slept almost all the daylight hours away. When I got up again, I had a couple missed calls from some friends, a text from Drew asking how I was doing, and one text message from Jessica. Her message reads as follows. Okay, guys, if you're lifting weights while you're listening to this video or doing something that, is distracting, stop what you're doing, and I want you to listen to her text. He does this word for word, and this is long, but it's worth your undivided attention. She says to him, "I'm sorry you don't understand what sex is. I've never slept with anyone. I decided I would be a virgin until my wedding night." Your mouth certainly isn't a virgin, honey. "I had some fun with some people, but I had rules." With some people? They had to keep their hands to themselves. My body is still pure and undefiled by a man. You are simply too insecure to accept what happened in the past is exactly that, the past. You cannot undo the past, so you move on from it. What happened in the past doesn't define who I am in the future. I don't regret living it up a little bit. A little? I am a strong, confident woman who can proudly say she's never been with a man and has saved herself for the man she loves and marries. What the hell is she smoking? She continues, You will never experience the joy of being that man. I will not lower myself to be with a self-righteous child who thinks you get to judge others for their past based on your standards. Your standards? How about the standards of all guys out there that have any self-respect? It turns out I don't know who you are, and from the tantrum you threw yesterday, I don't want to know. I cannot forgive you for how you acted. You and I are through. I'm breaking up with you. Do not contact me ever again. Bitch, I broke up with you yesterday. How was that unclear? This is all about her having the last word. Any of you guys out there that have had arguments and fights with women, girlfriends, wives, know what I'm talking about. They want to have the last fucking word. Right there. I don't even know where to start with that whole text. Undefiled by a man, saving herself, the past is the past. What a steaming pile of crap. There you go. All the stuff from the Hoe Bag Handbook. I finished reading her message, started laughing out loud, and tossed the phone on the couch. After a little food and something to drink, I phoned my dad and told him what happened. I let Drew know what I was doing okay. Next, I called some mutual friends, and Jessica had already told them she broke up with me. Of course, you beat her to it. You got to control the narrative, bro. This is something I don't know if you've learned from the videos, but women will, in a heartbeat, tell everybody they know, including, the FedEx driver, their version of the story to make you out to be the bad guy here. She had told them that she caught me with spicy stuff on my phone and was not going to be involved with someone who looked at that smut. Oh, that's the reason you guys broke up? Never mind about her adventures years earlier. I explained that the spicy stuff was Jessica from college days. You talk about controlling the narrative. In my state of mind, the previous night, I'd forgotten about it. It's understandable, dude, but this is an example why you got to control the narrative. I decided I needed to take control of the narrative, so I sent a text to everyone in our friend circle explaining that I'd broken up with Jessica and included the pictures 1 and 3. I did edit the picture with a couple of black boxes to make it at least PG. I also told them I had the other 2 pictures and gave a PG-13 description of what was depicted. Man, you're sending the pictures to everyone? That's great. Now, it sounds like he didn't... I'm not sure if he did send the picture with her with a big giant lollipop, if you will, in her mouth, or he did, but it blocked out. I'm not quite sure here. Along with mutual friends, I also include the group text to our Sunday Bible study leader and his wife, my parents, and Jessica's parents. You sent the pictures to her parents. If she was going to lie about me, I was going to unleash the truth about her. Well, it is the truth. So she's the one in the wrong greatly. First she's lying, and then again lying about her past. You think her parents in the church group would be very thrilled about her past, although they might bring up the whole Mary Magdalene thing, but that's a moot point. But you get the point. So there was some backlash to my text, but I did not care. They could support me or go their own way. I'd explained in the text that Jessica had lied to me and was now lying about me after I broke up with her. In one of your videos, the family and friends of the person wronged were not supporting him. You said it's best to just cut people off like that. I was lied to by Jessica. If they wanted to support a liar, then I would cut them off too. Good, exactly. Guys, life is too short. It's crazy situations like this and other ones in life that really will show you who your friends are or who cares about you truly. And if they're not on your side, if they're making you out to be the villain here, cut them off. It's better to have no one than to have people that, treat you like that. And this really will show you who your friends are. It says SSM is correct. You don't need people like that in your life. Her dad called me and chewed me out for sending inappropriate pictures of his daughter. When I finally got a chance to say something and I told him that he had a lewd daughter, and if she hadn't started lying about me and why we were broken up, I would have never sent the message. That set him off and he started to say something else, but I just hung up on him. Good. Think about this. This guy does not want to even consider. I'm guessing he's probably religious too. He doesn't even want to consider that his daughter, his perfect little angel, God's little gift to the world, his little cherub, would possibly do any of the things that, she did. And he's going to lash out on you. And be like, okay, motherfucker, maybe I'll just send you another picture unedited. I thought about it for a minute and decided to do it. I sent him the other 2 pictures with a message that said, your daughter is a WHORE, and nothing I have done could possibly make it any worse. I then blocked his number. Here you go. Here's one for the Christmas card this year. Here's little Jessica, and it ain't a candy cane in her mouth. This all came to a head, pun intended, about 2 months ago. I did see Jessica a couple weeks ago. Oh, how'd that go? I bumped into her and what I assume are her new group of friends as a couple of guys and I were leaving a restaurant. She saw me coming and smiled at me. Smiled at you how? Like Mr. Grinch smile, like she's plotting some evil? Or just like, hey, like a nutcase? I just ignored her and we left for our cars. A moment later, wait for it guys, what's going to happen? A moment later, I got a text. I don't know why, but I never blocked her number. Smack! I think you didn't block her number because you just wanted to hear more groveling, or you wanted to hear groveling and her tantrums and all that. Who knows? I didn't open the text. I just slid to the right and deleted the conversation. As I was deleting the conversation, I couldn't help but catch part of her message. And guess what it said, guys? I miss you. No response for her. I blocked her number and I am moving on. Yeah. So that whole her yelling at him and all that stuff like that, her perception of him, as I say all the time, is that he's a nice guy, and her immediate, like, upon the confrontation, deflecting and all this crap about it was the past and all this other stuff, that's what she did. That's a knee-jerk reaction that so many do. But also the fact that she probably think that he'd probably come back groveling, or she could get him to cave or something like that, because her perception of him is that he was too nice. And when guys act nice and treat women like human beings, that kindness is perceived as weakness. Well, she underestimated this guy. He says the thing is, virginity is a physical thing, but it's also a state of mind. Jessica is a foolish woman who seems to think that sucking a bunch of random guys off won't affect on her ability to pair bond. Yes, her cherry is still intact, but she was in fact run through by a bunch of frat brothers. Drew told me a few things he held back that morning. Oh joy, more details? After he told me about the 69 and my brain shut down, he decided it was best to stop with what he knew about her. It turns out that Jessica had bared all a couple of times. Full frontal nudity while dancing and stripping for some drunk frat brothers. Drew also said he knew two guys that she let have, guess what, shocker? Backdoor SCX with her, and she also performed a couple masturbation shows in front of an audience of about a dozen of his brothers. And this dude here telling the story is the bad guy for breaking up with her. She's a piece of garbage. She's a piece of garbage, and the fact that how she lied about her past and made him have to be the villain for, God forbid, taking issue with this. But she had never slept with anyone. Oh, well, thank God. She can continue walking around with a halo above her head. I'd love to explain to her how all these things proves her to be anything but a virgin, but it would also fall on deaf ears. Best to move on. Never argue with a drunk or fool, gentlemen. My mom, oh boy, I knew your mom would come back into the picture here. My mom was upset we weren't getting married. She asked if there was any way we could work it out. For God's sakes, Mom, join a fucking club. Do something. Don't make all your whole life about you becoming a grandma. No, I'm not taking her back. Shall I send you the pictures again? Shall I have you talk to Drew, and Drew can tell you all about some things? Or maybe, Mom, there's something about your past I don't want to know about. I told my dad to explain to her so she would be upset with Jessica's behavior. Not that we weren't getting married. Mom never brought it up again. I guess my dad set her straight. Thanks, Dad. In closing, I will say thank you one more time. Had your video not played, I may have been engaged or worse, married to this Jezebel when I discovered the truth. At least I still have the ring. It will never be in her possession. It was never in her possession. Your videos do not give me much faith in the fairer sex. Will I find someone? Depends on how strict I want to be with my standards. You gotta be strict with your standards, okay? There are deal breakers, and then there are deal breakers, you know? For now, Drew and I have become friends. We hit the gym 3 to 4 days a week. You are right. There is something about a workout that clears the mind, helps me focus, and gives you the strength to carry on. I joined Drew and a couple others once or twice a week after work. They drink beer, I have an iced tea. Nobody cares that I don't drink. We have a good time shooting pool or darts, but mostly shooting the bull. I've also turned them onto your channel. Well, thank you, bro. I appreciate that. Welcome to all you young brothers out there. When Drew moved to take his new job, he and his girlfriend decided to try the long-distance thing. How'd that work out? Since watching your videos, he's dropped her since she doesn't want to move to where he is. I don't know what Jessica's up to, nor do I care. She left the church group, so I have zero contact with her. She'll continue to lie to herself, and I do not care. I started the RP journey, looking at things I've done in my life and how I view relationships. It seems I've got changes to make. There is much to unlearn. I'm sure I will make more mistakes going forward, so I must ask that you please keep posting the videos so I can learn from the mistakes of those who have gone before me. Well, bro, that was one hell of a story, and I'm sorry it happened to you. Now, you said this all went down a couple months ago. So, given how these stories usually go, and maybe you've observed this in some of the videos you watch, I guarantee you she will come back. You will hear from her at least one more time. Probably she's already found another sucker because she knows how to get guys. Won't be a problem there. But when that doesn't work out, I'm sure you'll hear from her one more time. It might be on your birthday, it might be on Christmas, or Happy New Year, something, Happy Memorial Day, which will be, in a couple days. And I know you know this, but don't fall for it. Now, you did say you blocked her, so she'll find some other way. They're good. Hell, she may even find where you work or show up or something. And if she does, I'm sure obviously you are going to handle it accordingly. But if she does, let me know. I'm dying to know. But anyhow, guys, this is a very entertaining story, but it's a sad story about another guy who came that close to being conned. He was conned for 2 years. This is what we're dealing with nowadays. Now, does this mean that every single girl out there, like if you're watching this and you're in a relationship, does this mean that your girlfriend or wife did these things? Probably not, but you still have to do some digging. And there are a lot of gals out there that are like this, because that seems to be nowadays. You can't be a strong, confident, empowered young gal unless you're behaving how it is perceived that all guys act. Because guess what? All guys don't act like that. Not all guys are banging every chick left and right, amongst many other things. So you deserve to know the truth, and she lied to you, and it was just a terrible thing. And pair bond, there ain't no pair bonding going on when she's had sampling multiple frat parties, sausages and hot dogs and lollipops every freaking day, amongst other things. No, you did the right thing. So going forward, focus on your career. You're doing well for yourself. Tell your mom I love you, but stay out of my freaking love life. You'll be a grandma one day, but if you don't leave me alone, you're never going to be a grandma. Mom, join a club. Adopt a dog or a cat or something. Stay out of my life, my love life. And take what you've learned and just go from there. But this will definitely help your screening process going forward. But I don't want you to make a mistake of, because you're a relationship guy and you're a religious fellow, that you don't, because you want to have a family one day and have kids, rush into things. And I don't think you will. But still, you got to take your time. And if it means you don't find that girl that could be a good contender until for 10 more years, so be it. Because remember, guys, bro, your prime is just beginning. When you're in your 30s and you're doing very well for yourself, you're going to have chicks chasing after you left and right. And so you're going to have plenty of options. You just have to be very careful and selective. But I think you will, and you'll be okay. So, bro, I appreciate you sending in your story, and I do wish you well. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Let this guy know what you think. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.